At our New Year's Eve party, my brother stood up and said, "These are my brother's kids. No awards, no skills, just like their mom." Then he gestured to his own son. "Now that's what success looks like." Everyone chuckled. I grinned and raised my glass. "Cheers, this is the last time any of you will see us." Then I took my children and left. An hour later, my brother texted, "You're still covering my son's college, right?" I read it, and then my name's Max. I'm 36, married to Lena, and I own a small but loud auto repair shop 2 blocks off the highway. Grease under my nails most days. Phone full of parts invoices and customer texts. In my family, I'm the reliable one. The guy who shows up with jumper cables and pays the tab when everyone suddenly forgets their wallets. I'm the older brother. Nick is the younger. He's the charmer. The kind of guy who can borrow a car and return it with less gas and more stories. Growing up, he got away with everything because he made everyone laugh. He still does. New Year's Eve, we were at my parents' place. Big pot of borscht on the stove, cheap sparklers stuck in a cake, TV counting down in the corner. My kids, Ben, 9, and Talia, 7, were in paper crowns chasing the dog. Lena was in the kitchen with Mom, plating herring and rolling her eyes in a way only I can read. "Stay calm." Nick clinked a spoon against his glass. "Hey, everybody," speech. He stood, gave a dramatic bow, and swept an arm toward my kids. "These are my brother's kids. No medals, no talent, just like their mom." The room did that awful thing where some people freeze and others laugh because they don't know what else to do. Someone actually snorted. My father said, "Nick," like a warning, but it was soft, almost amused. Lena went still. Ben looked at the floor. Talia's crown slid down over one eye. Nick grinned wider, puffed his chest, and pointed at his son, Luca, who was practicing a tick-tock dance beside the couch. "Now that's what success looks like," he said. "Scholarships incoming. You hear that, Max?" I felt the heat rise behind my ears. My hand found Lena's without thinking. She squeezed once. "I'm here." I stood, lifted my glass, and my voice came out calm, flat. "Cheers," I said. "This is the last time any of you will see us." Silence. The laughter died so fast it left a hole in the room. Mom blinked like I'd spoken a foreign language. Nick smirked as if I were bluffing. I set the glass down, took my kids' hands, and we left. Coats over pajamas, street cold in my lungs. I buckled them into the car while the fireworks started popping somewhere over the river. On the drive home, Ben asked, "Did we do something wrong?" "No," I said. "We're done being someone's joke." I tucked them into bed. Lena sat at the kitchen table, still in her nice dress, mating something invisible in the air with her fingers. "What now?" she asked. "Now," I said. "We clean house." I didn't check my phone. I didn't want to see the explosion I knew was waiting in the family chat. I just stood in the dark kitchen smelling motor oil on my jacket, listening for fireworks or sirens or anything that wasn't my own pulse. The dog flopped against my foot. Half midnight, the neighborhood went quiet. I finally flipped my phone over and there it was. Nick's name lighting the screen, but I didn't open it. Not yet. Not tonight. Tonight, I wanted the sound of our apartment breathing and the small, warm fact that I'd meant what I said. Tomorrow, I would read it. Tomorrow, I would decide what to do with it. Tonight, I let the anger sit exactly where it belonged, front and center, sharp enough to finally see what I'd been pretending not to see for years. I washed the glasses one by one until the water ran cold. I didn't become the reliable one on purpose. It just happened. After high school, I skipped college and went straight into work. Apprenticed under a cranky mechanic who taught me torque specs and how to say no without apologizing. I saved, bought out a failing 2-bay garage, painted it bright, and put my name on the window. Max Auto. We fix what other people ignore. I married Lena at 27. We had Ben and Talia. We built a life made of early alarms, late dinners and Saturdays at the park when I could manage it. I'm not some saint. I just did the math. Work now, breathe later. Meanwhile, Nick collected almost careers the way my shop collects old lug nuts. Personal trainer, real estate assistant, crypto consultant, marketing director for a startup that existed mainly on hoodies. He always landed just soft enough to try the next thing. My parents helped. "He's the baby," Mom would say, half joking, fully true. Dad would shrug, "He'll figure it out." "Max, maybe you can, help." Help turned into paying Nick's traffic tickets so it won't go to collections. Then a temporary phone added to my plan so he can job hunt. Then just a small loan for a deposit on an apartment he left 6 months later. Deposit gone. When Luca was born, it leveled up. "It takes a village," Mom said, handing me a list. Diapers, formula, a car seat. I bought all 3. Once after Luca's preschool talent day, Nick pulled me aside in the hallway and said, "He's special, Max." We're going to need real schools, you get it? He said it like I'd been waiting to be assigned this mission. Here's the part one hate admitting. I said yes to a lot of it. Some yes were loud, most were quiet. I sent money for a few months. I co-signed a used Honda so he can stop borrowing your work truck, which he still borrowed. I covered Luca's summer camp the year Nick's startup closed shop. Each time I told myself it was the last. Then Mom would call with that voice. He's your brother. And I'd blink and the transfer would be pending. Lena didn't nag, she just watched the numbers. We need a new alignment rack, she'd say looking at the spreadsheet. But if you want to cover his emergency again, I'll push the order. I'd tell her next month, I tell myself. The family chat was its own ecosystem. Memes from Dad, long voice notes from Mom. Photos of Luca posed with medals from weekend tournaments where everyone got a medal. My kids' wins were background noise. When Ben got a perfect score on his math test, I posted a picture. Mom reacted with a thumbs up. When Talia learned to read early, Nick sent, cute. When Luca kicked a ball into a net at a birthday party, there were 38 messages, 2 video edits, and Mom writing, our prodigy with 3 crowns. I told myself I didn't care. I'm an adult. I have a shop. But then you catch your son watching those threads go by and you care. 2 weeks before New Year's, Nick sent me a long text. Good news. Luca got into Eastfield Prep's middle school program. Tuition's a stretch, but we're all about investing in the future, right? Can we sit down and talk numbers? You always said you'd be there for him. I reread. You always said and felt that old tug behind my ribs. Years ago, at a christening half asleep and full of champagne, I told Mom, of course I'll help with Luca. I'd meant buying onesies. They heard tuition. I didn't answer right away. At the shop, I replaced a timing belt with my phone face down and my jaw tight. Lena appeared in the bay doorway, hair in a bun, clipboard in hand. Your brother called here, she said. He said, you're ghosting him. I'm busy, Max. He asked if he should have the school send the invoice straight to the business account. I laughed. It came out like metal on metal. The business account is for keeping the lights on. Then tell him, she said gently. Before New Year's, before there's an audience, I tried. Twice I dialed. Twice I hung up. I knew exactly how it would go. He'd joke, I'd hedge. Mom would hop on speaker and make it a referendum on my soul. So I saved it. I'd say it after the holiday dinner when people are sleepy and less cruel. And then the holiday dinner happened, and Nick opened his mouth and tossed my kids into the fire, and the audience laughed, and I told them it was the last time. The next morning, I finally opened his message from after midnight. Timestamp 12:41 am. You're still covering my son's college, right? College, not middle school, not maybe someday. College. Like the bill had already been slid across the table to me and I was deciding which pen to use. There was more, a text from Mom. You embarrassed us. You know your brother jokes. You should apologize to the family chat. Also, we need to talk about Luca's education plan. It's not fair to start and then pull support. Start what I thought, pull what? In their heads, I'd signed a decadal-long contract. In their heads, my kids were a punchline and Luca was a project funded by me. I put the phone down and grabbed a fresh roll of shop towels. I needed friction. I needed to scrub something. That afternoon, Dad called. Your mother is upset, he said. Just smooth it over, okay? Nick didn't mean it, Dad. He meant it enough to say it in front of my kids. A pause. Well, you know how he is. I said, and felt something click into place. And I'm done pretending. Pretending what? That he's my responsibility. Dad exhaled it like I'd confessed to a crime. Mac's family. I looked at my hands. Oil black in the creases. Exactly. If I'd handled it the old way, I would have called Nick and argued in circles until he wore me down. If I'd handled it the angry way, I would have shown up at my parents' door and yelled. Instead, I did something I learned under that cranky mechanic. Write it up like a work order. Diagnose, document, decide. I opened a new note and titled it Family Billing. Because if they were going to keep treating me like a bank, I'd start acting like one. I listed everything I could remember year by year. Tickets, deposits, temporary phone lines, summer camps, the Honda cosign that became a refinance when he missed payments. I dug through emails and screenshots. Lena pulled statements. We stayed up until 1 o'clock am. Side by side at the kitchen table, adding line items. Every number we found made my jaw unclench a little. Not because of the amount, though the amount made me want to lie down, but because it wasn't a feeling anymore. It was data. At the bottom I wrote, further credit suspended. The next day I posted in the family chat, we're coming over Sunday at 5 o'clock, all of us please be there. Mom liked the message with a heart. Nick replied, make it quick, champ. Luca's got training, Sunday at 5, we walked in, I didn't bring a casserole, I brought a printed packet. Lena carried a folder. My kids stayed home with our neighbor. Mom started in immediately. Max, about New Year's. I held up a hand. I'll start. Nick sprawled on the couch, phone in hand. Make it short. The game's on. I set the packet on the coffee table. This is the last 10 years of me helping, I said, total at the end. Notes attached. Tonight I'm saying no going forward, effective today. Mom frowned at the header. Dad turned the pages like he might find a joke hidden in there. Nick didn't touch it. He smirked at me. You made a brochure. That's adorable. Read page 3. I said, that's the Honda you stopped paying. I've got the refinance papers and the ding it put on my credit. Page 5 is Luca's 2022 camp. Page 6 is the deposit you lost. Page 7 is the temporary phone line I'm still paying. Page 9 is the laptop you borrowed for your consulting and never returned. Dad cleared his throat. Max, Dad, you told me to smooth things over. This is me smoothing. I'm telling the truth out loud, that's all. Mom crossed her arms. You don't bring spreadsheets to family. You brought invoices to me for years, I said. You just called them favors. Nick flipped a page with one finger and laughed. So what? You want me to pay you back? I told them I was done. No more checks, no $20 a month for life, no more playing banker. I felt the old anger rise but let it pass like a truck in the distance. I don't want anything, I said. I'm closing the account. The banker blinked. What does that even mean? No more money, no more costing, no more just this once, no more paying for your kids' stuff. And if you insult my wife or kids again, you're cut off. Mom snapped. That's abuse. You can't punish a child for his father's mistakes. Lena spoke quietly, her first words that night. Stop using your child as an excuse. Everyone turned. Her voice stayed steady. Max isn't punishing Luca. He's protecting our kids from you. Nick pointed at her. Watch your tone. I laughed once. No, you watch yours, he stood. You think you're better than me because you change oil and play Dad of the Year. Your little shop makes you a big man? I let him talk. He's always loved his own voice. When he wound down, I slid my phone across the coffee table. Since you think I'm a banker, here's the audit. I opened the family chat, scrolled through years of emergencies, then landed on last week's text. Nick's message about sending invoices to my business account. I tapped it, mirrored it to Dad's TV with one click. 20 feet wide, Nick's words glowed. Wow, I read aloud. Send the invoice to the business account. Some joke. Dad said my name like a warning. I met his eyes. I'm done taking the bait and the bill. Nick's face flushed. You think I'm scared of a slideshow? You still owe us, Luca's family. Lena leaned forward. Our kids are family too. Ben heard you call him talentless. He cried in the car. Talia asked if just like their mom means she should be ashamed of me. That's what your joke did. Mom made a small sound. For a second I thought it was empathy. Then she said, Lena, you know Nick doesn't mean it. He gets carried away. The empathy vanished. I took a breath. One more thing. I slid a paper across. This is an email I drafted to Eastfield Prep. It says, remove my name and any implied sponsorship from Luca's file. I won't be responsible for payments now or ever. It's going out tonight. Nick lunged, snatched the page. You wouldn't. I would. You promised. I promised to be a brother, I said, not a bank. He stared like I'd slapped him. Then he went for humiliation, as always. You know why you're really mad? He said to the room. Because Luca's better than your kids. You married plain, made plain kids, and can't stand that mine shines. The word plain hit Lena like a slap. I saw it. That was it. The last bolt tightened. Okay, I said. We're done. I picked up my phone, opened the family chat, and typed slowly so I wouldn't misspell from shaking. We're out of this chat. No more contact for money or favors. Need a mechanic. Call the shop during business hours like any customer. Lena left the chat. I blocked Nick. Mom started crying, the careful, kind people use as a tactic. Dad stood, hands out. Max, Dad, I said. If you want to see your grandkids, you know where we live. But if there's a price or a punchline, stay home. We walked to the door. Nick muttered, You're still covering college, right? I didn't turn. Read the memo, I said, and closed the door. The first week was loud. Missed calls, long voicemails, texts from unknown numbers. My aunt texted, Family isn't transactional. I typed and deleted a dozen replies before sending. I agree. That's why I'm ending the transactions. Mom left a voicemail every morning. You're breaking my heart. Call me. Let's be reasonable. Reasonable meant I pay, they forget the terms, and we pretend the insults never happened. I didn't listen to Nick's voicemails. They came like spam. 10:04 a.m., 10:12 a.m., 10:28 a.m. Lena listened to one, grimaced, and deleted it. We're not saving these, she said. We're not writing a book. At the shop, things shifted without the weekly emergency withdrawals. My numbers breathed. I ordered the alignment rack we'd delayed for a year. It arrived on a rainy Thursday. The delivery guys wheeled it in while Talia danced around the bay in pink headphones. Ben helped unbox the laser heads, reading the manual like it was scripture. "New toy," he said. "New tool," I corrected, smiling. We made small changes at home, too. Wednesdays used to be Nick's practice night, when we'd rearrange dinner so I could drive him or Luca somewhere because their car was in the shop, not mine. Now Wednesday's pancake night. The kids picked toppings. Lena burned the first batch and laughed for the first time in days. My phone was quiet. No, can you just requests, no quick favors. The silence felt like oxygen. The family didn't stop, though. They pivoted. Mom tried Dad. Dad tried guilt. "I never asked my parents for anything," he said on the phone. "But your mother..." "Dad," I cut in, "you can see the kids Saturday. Bring bagels, no speeches." He came. He brought bagels. He stood in the doorway like he was sneaking into a movie halfway through. Ben showed him a Lego engine that actually moved. Talia read a page from her book. He cried a little. He left without mentioning money. Progress. Nick took a new angle public. He posted on Facebook about growing up poor and brothers who forget their roots. Nick posted, "Some value money over family," under Luca's photo in a uniform I'd paid for. A friend sent screenshots. I replied, "We're good," then worked on cars until my hands stopped hurting. A week later, Eastfield Prep emailed that my name was off their records. Relief hit me hard, like a knot in my back loosening. I filed the email under family, now history, not duty. 2 weeks later, a customer with a Lucas sticker on her Corolla said Nick sent his regards. I smiled, gave her a fair price, and sent her off. On Luca's birthday, no team party request came. Instead, an unknown number sent a photo of him with a cake saying, "Wish you were here, Uncle Max." It stung. Luca's just a kid. Lena said to send him a gift, no note, just his name. We sent practice cones and a pump. No scoreboard, just a clean line to him. We opened our lives to others, shop guys, their kids, our neighbor Ruth. One night we cleared the shop, hung lights, and watched a movie on a sheet. Kids ate popcorn from foil-lined oil pans. No family drama buzzed my phone, just the hum of lights. Mom texted Lena saying I was extreme. Lena told her Nick crossed a line, calling our kids nothing. I said we're open to relationships that don't cost our kids dignity. The shop's bank account looked hopeful. I got us new uniforms, names stitched on. Ben learned tire pressures. Talia drew invoices for imaginary customers like Princess Spark Plug. Zoya, my 90-year-old cousin, called. I said I set a boundary, not a scene. She said, "Good," and hung up. Some days I wanted to shake Nick until my old brother came back. Some nights Lena and I wondered if we did right by Luca. But the resentment faded, replaced by routine, work, dinner, homework, sleep, healing. At a spring tournament, we saw Luca's team. At halftime, he spotted us, grinned, and waved. I waved back. No promises, just a quiet hello. When his team won, Nick lifted him high. Luca looked like a kid, not a project. I tapped my chest, good job. We walked home, Talia skipping, Ben narrating, Lena's hand in mine. "You okay?" she asked. "I think so," I said, surprised it was true. The hard part isn't saying no. It's not saying yes when guilt sounds like Mom's voice. A boundary isn't revenge, it's a budget for your energy. My kids aren't second to anyone's pride. I'm not a bank fixing family leaks. I'm a dad with a shop, a wife with a spine, and kids who aren't punchlines. Last week, Dad watched Talia hammer a nail straight and clapped. Ben changed a wiper blade and grinned. Lena smiled. We ate pancakes for dinner, Wednesday tradition. My phone buzzed, then stopped. I let it. Ben asked if we're still avoiding Nick's. "For now," I said, "but we're okay." He nodded. "I like pancake night." Me too. I hope Luca gets where he wants. Maybe one day he'll visit the shop and I'll teach him to change oil. Love isn't money or silence. It's showing up for those who choose you back. That's my boundary, my family, my story.